The universe is trying to get your attention. Something needs to be heard and it can't wait any longer. When life starts to repeat signs, when certain thoughts won't leave your mind and certain emotions return without explanation, it's because a message is coming and it's important. Maybe you are in a moment of confusion, feeling that there is something behind this connection that you cannot yet decipher. The universe wants to talk about this. Take a deep breath. It's time to listen. There is someone who won't leave your thoughts, and perhaps you are trying to understand why this person changed their behavior so suddenly. At first, there seemed to be enthusiasm, presence, even a certain sparkle in the eyes that revealed interest. But over time, this movement gave way to a silent, almost calculated distancing. It wasn't accidental, it was a choice. Even if this person doesn't say it in words, there is something inside them trying to understand how they feel about you. Something that left her doubtful, confused, vulnerable. There is even a point in your connection that provoked an urgent need in her to stop and reflect, as if a part of the path had become too hazy to ignore. What you may not know is that this distancing did not come from coldness or disinterest, but from an internal effort on her part to process something that touched her in an unexpected way. When someone is forced to rethink their certainties, they tend to back down. And that's exactly what happened. What she felt was so different from what she had experienced before that instead of moving forward, she chose to take a step back. This person is asking questions, many of them, and almost all of them have to do with you. Who are you really? Why did this connection touch you so much? Does all this make sense, or is it just an illusion created by lack? These are legitimate doubts, and they are stirring deep layers of her emotions. The universe is guiding this process, not as an obstacle, but as part of the answer. If you've also started noticing synchronicities, sudden physical sensations, or sudden mood swings, it may not be all in your head. There is an energetic field between you that is in motion, a kind of silent dance between what is felt and what is not yet understood. And she's feeling it just as much as you are. This person began to look at past experiences and compare them to what he is experiencing now. And something doesn't fit, or rather, it fits too well, but in a scary way. The intensity you bring out in each other is like nothing she has ever known before. And that's precisely why she finds herself faced with a choice: run away from it or delve deeper. What disconcerts her is that by his side she feels things that she cannot control, emotions that do not fit into the old definitions of love, desire, or bond. It's like I'm being taken to another kind of connection, something more true, more raw, more transformative. And this puts her on alert, because it requires commitment, it requires trust and, above all, it requires courage. She's trying to understand why you move her so much, why your energy attracts her even when she tries to resist. There is something about you that seems to have ignited a part of her that has been dormant for a long time. And now that this part has awakened, it is impossible to ignore. Her mind seeks logic, but her heart insists on following signs. No matter how much this person tries to maintain control, there is something that surpasses them and is coming from a place they still cannot name. Lately, you've started to notice strange repetitions, numbers, names, songs, events that somehow remind you of yourself. Small coincidences that when added together seem to create a coded message. And that's making everything even more intense. The universe acts like this when it wants someone to pay attention, when it wants to awaken something, and it is working with it. These synchronicities are not just effects of chance, they are direct reflections of what is being activated within her. A silent restlessness that pushes her to search for meaning. No matter how rational she is, she can no longer ignore how much these signs are connected to you. She starts to question everything. She starts to wonder why she feels there is something special between you, even when the facts don't seem to add up. Why there is an energy that pulls her back whenever she tries to move forward, and mainly because this connection seems to defy everything she thought she knew about love. You, perhaps without knowing it, have become a spiritual mirror for her. A point of reflection that is forcing you to face parts of yourself that you have been avoiding. It's not about romanticizing pain or creating fantasies. It's about presence. It's about impact. You came into her life as a question that still has no answer, but one that makes her look inside. This curiosity she feels about you is not superficial. It goes far beyond attraction, chemistry, and coexistence. It's a desire to understand why this relationship seems to activate such deep triggers, why everything about her screams that this is different, and why even though she's afraid, there's a part of her that doesn't want to and maybe can't even give up. She is trying to make sense of what she feels. She is revisiting memories, reevaluating choices, and most importantly, rethinking what she has always believed about connections. Because you, with your way of being, with your silent presence, with your constant energy, dismantled her certainties. As much as that scares her, it also fascinates her. What intrigues her most is this inexplicable magnetism, this feeling that there is something inevitable between you, even when everything seems interrupted or on pause. It's as if there's an invisible force that keeps her connected, even when she tries to disconnect. And with each synchronicity that arises, this bond only grows stronger. On some level, she already knows that this isn't just about attraction, it's about purpose, about transformation. You came into her life to shake up deep structures, and the universe is confirming this in every possible way. As she notices these signs, she begins to realize that she is faced with something rare, something that cannot simply be ignored. And maybe you've felt that way too. Perhaps you are experiencing this same movement of restlessness, as if you were being prepared for something greater. This exchange between you is not unilateral, it is a two-way street, even if silent, even if from a distance, you touch each other in dimensions that are still being revealed. Her spirituality is expanding. Even if you don't see yourself as spiritual, even if you prefer reason, it is changing. Because the universe does not need belief to act. It acts when something needs to be understood more deeply. And with you, she is learning this in practice. Sometimes a single presence is enough to redefine everything you thought you knew about love. In this case, yours. She doesn't know exactly when she realized, but something in you began to displace her certainties. It was subtle at first, a way of speaking, a way of looking, a silence that didn't bother. Then it became impossible to ignore. It's curious how certain encounters change the way someone deals with their own emotions. This person who always prided herself on being stable, coherent, and measured, found herself completely out of her emotional axis after you entered her life. Not necessarily because of something you did, but because of what you awaken. It's like you have access to an inner space that she has always kept locked away. She is used to being in control, knowing what she feels, what she wants, and making decisions based on that. But with you, the rules have changed. Suddenly, feelings arose without explanation. Reactions she hadn't anticipated began to happen, and this left her vulnerable. No matter how much you try to rationalize it, you already understand that you cannot protect yourself from the intensity of this connection. This difference is not just in emotions, it is also in the way she thinks. You provoked an expansion of perception in her, another way of seeing relationships, of reflecting on her own patterns, of considering possibilities that previously seemed too distant. Your energy has opened up a new space in her, where other versions of life can exist, and this attracts her, even if it scares her. She started to notice that the dialogues with you are different. Even though they haven't talked as much, there's something about the exchange that feels more genuine, more direct, more profound, as if behind every gesture there's something being said in silence. And maybe that something says more than any words. This type of connection is not easy to explain, and that is precisely why she feels such urgency to understand, because you broke a pattern. She remembers other stories she experienced, other bonds that seemed promising, but didn't have the same strength. When you compare, you realize how much more meaningful, more true, more uncontrollable, more alive everything now seems. There is a silent admiration she feels for you. It's not just attraction, although it exists, it's something more subtle. A respect for the way you lead your own life, for the way you seem to have an integral relationship with what you feel, for the way you touch others, even without trying. It disarms her, it attracts her, and it makes her want to understand what is happening. At the same time, this admiration comes with an internal tension, because the more she recognizes how much you affect her, the more she realizes that she is not prepared to deal with all of this lightly. She feels that she is out of balance and that she may need time to reorganize what she feels, not to run away from you, but to not lose herself. Perhaps you have already noticed that even from a distance there is a presence of her in your energy, an insistent memory, a thought that returns without being called. This is not an illusion, it is harmony. When two fields connect at this level, the flow remains, even when no words are exchanged. And this presence you have in her life is not casual. The universe has placed her before something that demands truth, something that forces her to shed her defenses and look at herself more deeply. And even without understanding all the reasons, she knows that she can't just turn her back, because what you have, even in silence, is real. When a true connection arrives, it doesn't always come with clear promises or easy paths. Sometimes it comes as a rupture, a silent deviation that forces a person to look at themselves in a new way. That's what's happening to her. Even without grand gestures, even without many words, what is between you is already transforming who she is inside. It may seem like an exaggeration, but it is not. She feels that she is not the same since you came along. She began to question her choices, her beliefs about love, what she tolerates, what she seeks, what she fears. There is an internal disorder going on, but not a destructive disorder. It's as if the universe is reorganizing everything, taking away what is no longer useful and focusing on what really matters. And you are at the center of this process, not as a savior or an ideal, but as a mirror. A reflection that intensely shows what she still needs to heal, what she needs to release, and what she is ready to live. Even if you don't realize it clearly, you are helping this person see themselves more truthfully. And that's worth more than any relationship label. Before she met you, she believed she already understood everything about love. She thought she already knew what desire, connection, and harmony were. But now she realizes that there was still a lot that didn't make sense with you. It's not just emotion, it's intuition. It's not just thought, it's energy. There is a communication that happens beyond words and that changes everything. She may be resisting this, trying to deny the impact you've had, but it's only a matter of time before she recognizes it. It is no longer possible to go back to how it was before, because now she has been touched by something that has no name, but that has depth, something that leads her to seek more meaning, more presence, more authenticity. The universe is guiding this person on a path of growth. And as hard as it is to admit, this path began when you crossed her path. Maybe she found you at a time when she wasn't ready for everything you could experience. Perhaps it has retreated out of fear, confusion, or old blockages, but even so the movement has already begun. You provoked in her a reevaluation of her own trajectory. She began to see the repetitions in previous relationships. She realized where she had been annulled, where she had tried to please too much, where she had closed herself off for fear of getting hurt. With you, you can't repeat the same patterns. It's different. It's too real to be lived halfway. That's why she hesitates, because she feels that she can't play with you, that this time, if it's going to happen, it will have to be with dedication, with truth, with courage. And right now she's still trying to figure out if she has enough strength for that. But the simple fact of asking this question already shows that the transformation has begun. You may also be going through a similar process, feeling more exposed, more sensitive, more open. These deep connections have this effect. They activate both sides, even when external contact no longer exists, because the exchange takes place in the soul field and the soul does not need physical presence to move. Deep down, she knows she can no longer live as if you never happened. She can even try. She can distract herself, occupy her mind, pretend that everything is under control. But at some point in the day, your image returns, the thought reappears, the memory prevails, and with it the desire to understand. This connection didn't happen by chance and she knows it. She is beginning to accept that there is a greater purpose in all of this, that however confused it may be now, this confusion is part of something much bigger, something that is still unfolding. Some connections don't ask for permission to happen. They cross time, break certainties, and impose themselves in an almost silent but definitive way. The universe doesn't waste encounters like that. When two souls recognize each other so deeply, it is not by chance, it is by purpose. And what is happening between you is one of those purposes. This person feels this. She knows that, no matter how much she tries to rationalize, escape, or silence what is inside her, there is something bigger guiding everything. She may not fully understand, but she has already realized that this connection is changing the way she sees love, the way she sees others, and the way she sees herself. This is not just anything, it's rare, it's true, it's transformative. And even if she is still in a moment of pause, confusion, or withdrawal, that does not mean that the cycle between you is over. It may just mean that the time is not right yet. Because when the universe wants to unite two souls, it creates the paths, even if everything seems separate. Now, it removes internal blocks, realigns encounters, and even uses silences to heal. She has very strong feelings for you, and even though it makes her feel out of control, it is not something that can be forgotten. The feelings you awaken in her are not fleeting, they are deep. She feels real love, the kind of love that doesn't need idealizations, but courage. The kind of love that challenges you to be better, to dive deeper, to let go of your defenses. This is the love you are being invited to live, not as some romantic promise, but as a journey of expansion. You were placed in each other's lives to learn, yes, but also to teach, to reflect light where there was still shadow, to welcome wounds that were hidden, to show that it is possible to love from a more conscious, more whole, more true place. The confusion she feels, the signs she sees, the thoughts she can't silence. This is all part of an awakening, part of the process in which the universe is leading you to a new level of connection. A love that is not based on need, but on presence, that does not need masks, but truth. And you are part of it too. Your energy, your dedication, your impact, all of this is helping this process happen. Even if you don't see immediate results, even if there is still no contact or responses, you are planting something, and that something carries immense weight in her heart. Sometimes the universe separates two people so that each can heal what they need before they meet again, so that the next time is not just a repeat of the past, but the beginning of something truly new. This is what is being prepared now. Not just a return, but a renewal. A new chapter written by two more self-aware versions. If silence is still present, let it be understood as a pause, not an end. If the distancing persists, let it be seen as a time of strengthening, not rejection. Because when there is truth between two people, distance does not erase it, it only matures it. And if this message reached you, perhaps it is because it is time to trust, to stop doubting what you feel and accept that there is something divine happening behind the scenes in your life. Something that cannot be rushed, but should not be ignored either. The universe does not make mistakes when it comes to encounters, and when two souls are destined to meet, it does not matter how long it takes or how many obstacles appear. The reunion always happens. It happens at the right time, in the right way, when both are ready to live what is real.